For a few years now, Toonami has brought us a lot of great things. They aired classic type animes with a name that you would recognize, and I like that. And I've been tuning in ever since, well, the second day of Toonami basically, but I've got to say I've really enjoyed it. But now I am going to do a top 10 favorite shows and movies that have aired on Toonami. I, Arturo, will be talking about my personal favorites. This will also have to include, yes, a series of the same name with movies or shows. They'll both be in here likewise. Because, hey, they were epic. I will note, though, I have not watched Cowboy Bebop or Ghost in the Shell, and I only saw parts of Samurai 7. But I wanted to get that out of the way because, you know, this will also affect what would be on the list for me, but other than that, let's get started.
Number 10.
Evangelion series.
Warp the hit, close in and cut off its line of advance.
Hit it with everything you've got.
I've got to note that it is a series that is pretty much out there, but even though it's weird for some people, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed 1.11 and 2.22, those nights that it aired. It was epic, especially Asuka. Yeah. I enjoyed every moment of watching it, even at my cousin's house. It was really epic. It was also the first time that I watched those films on Toonami, so it gave me a chance to watch it for free. Thank you, Toonami. It had a lot of action scenes in it, even though I wish there was more of just human interaction besides them getting in a robot, but still, it was epic. Second movie is my favorite, though, because of Asuka and the new character.
To get the cord. I know that, damn it! And don't you dare give me orders!
Number 9.
Parasite, the Maxim. I was skeptical about this show, but when I watched it, I fell in love with it right away. It had nice animation, a great story, characters that you got attached to, and basically, you know, even if it's a show that I'm not fully interested in, I'll watch it anyway because Toonami's airing it on the blog. I watch basically anything that they air. Yeah, besides the weird alien stuff, it was still great. I would definitely say check it out if I were you. And also the ending is satisfying as well.
Number 8.
Inuyasha series.
It's going to take extensive training.
We don't have time for any of that, and you know it!
Now, I know I have seen like Astro Boy and Big O first, but I didn't really consider them anime until Inuyasha. So basically, Inuyasha was my first anime to get me into this genre in general. Yeah, this one nailed it for me. This was one of my anticipated shows to air on Toonami. It was a classic anime. Not to mention, I really like Sango. She's badass. Not to mention, I did request this show to be on Toonami, and it did in November of 2012. Sadly, though, the original never finished its run because they lost the rights to it. So that was pretty sad. However, though, we got the final act that same year we lost the rights to the original, and yes, it finally got the chance to air and finish the story of Inuyasha. I'm grateful for you, Toonami.
Number 7.
Blue Exorcist.
Kick a lot of ass before the devil knows you're dead. Burn in hell!
After SAO ended, they replaced it with this show. And after watching it for a few episodes, I was hooked, but it didn't really grab me as much as SAO did. But later it did get interesting, and I dig the characters. It had great animation, good action scenes, etc.
Snake belly form! Snake bang!
Yeah, I would say watch this show, and not to mention there's a new series coming out. I cannot wait, and hopefully it will air on Toonami as well.
Number 6.
Soul Eater.
Soul is mine!
Maka, Soul, Blackstar, and Tsubaki know their roles.
As soon as I watched the first episode that night, I was hooked right away. I watched only 3 episodes on Toonami, and I decided to move to Netflix because it was on Netflix and I really wanted to see what happens. And I kind of regret doing that, but still, even though I watched it on Netflix, I like the series. I'm glad it aired on Toonami. This show is awesome.
Piece of paper isn't going to help us beat a witch.
Fine, then you tell me what we need to do to beat Blair.
Who knows? I vote for brute force, though.
And I really like Death the Kid and Soul and Mizubaki. Manga can be a bit but still a great show, besides the fact that the ending... Until the ending played out with one character, I was like, eh. But overall, it made it on the list because it's good.
Let's go, Soul Resonance!
Number 5.
Sword Art Online series.
Players are logged into Sword Art Online. There's no way for them to log out, ever.
Now, when I first saw the promo for Sword Art Online, I never heard of this anime or even knew what it was about until the promo, obviously. And after I watched it, I loved it. This show kept me coming back every Saturday night just to see what happened to the characters. I was always at the edge of my seat. Well, not really, but excited to see what happened next. It really had emotional moments that grabbed me and just characters that I loved. And then when we got to the second arc, the world they set it on was lame. I mean, really, it was lame, but I did enjoy the story for the fact of what was going on, though I won't spoil it.
Get out of my way!
I mean, that was the only thing that kept me coming back, but not Fairyland. And when the second season came around, I was glad. The promo was awesome. And I really enjoyed the first arc. I mean, I saw the flaws in it, but it still was enjoyable. My sister, my mom, and I just sat down and watched it, especially with Death Gun. But the second arc, no. The third one was depressing, but okay. Not as good as the first arc. Liked Asuma's story, though.
Number 4.
Full Metal Alchemist series.
Where'd you learn transmutation circles like that?
Now, I got into Full Metal Alchemist the year Toonami was back and already airing on the block every Saturday night. I basically watched the original on Netflix before I moved to Brotherhood, which took a while. But even so, Brotherhood was airing on Toonami, and even after I finished Brotherhood, I was really glad that they aired a classic anime on Toonami. They aired Conqueror of Shambhala, which was a great film, and they also aired Sacred Star Milos, which was another great film. I mean, both great movies and a great show. Now, when Toonami came back on, I watched a little bit of it, even though I didn't know much about the characters at that point, until they moved it back a few blocks on Toonami. So for me, I couldn't watch it at that time. But still, though, I'm glad that it aired on Toonami. Great characters, great story.
Number 3.
Akame ga Kill.
I'm going to survive this hell no matter what happens.
We can't shoot innocent people!
Now, I heard about this show being somewhat like a Game of Thrones type show, so I was prepared, and yeah, I will say don't get too attached to anyone. But overall, though, it was a great show that had a lot of action in it, and characters that you cared for, and even nice, beautiful animation that just grabbed you. Enjoyed every moment of it with my mom and sis, every night on Toonami. All episodes were good except for one that was kind of out there. But besides that episode, great show. Glad it came on Toonami.
Number 2.
Attack on Titan.
This is it, people! Do or die!
Another great show that aired on Toonami. Now, I actually heard of it a year ago before it even aired on Toonami. I didn't seem too interested in it until I saw promos of it. But man, was I wrong. A great show indeed, and it hit ratings up to millions those Saturday nights at points. And I also got my mom hooked into it. Then my mom and sis was watching it with me, and we enjoyed every night of it. It was a blast, with characters especially Mikasa and Levi. Aaron, he pretty much screams most of the time, but hey, He just likes to do that. That's his thing. And great action scenes and animation and all that. No wonder why this show was a success. Now, before we get to number 1, here are a few honorable mentions, and I will say there are a lot.
Number 1.
Hellsing Ultimate.
Time to educate you on how a real vampire does battle!
I got into Hellsing in 2013, and I watched both the original and Ultimate. I never thought it would air on Toonami because it just never occurred to me. But in 2014, my sister read something saying that it would, and I was like, yes, go for it, Toonami. And sure enough, it did, and the promo was just as epic as ever. Alucard, the badass vampire.
Now, it's time for us to go to war.
This was one of my most anticipated animes to air on the block. Another classic show that you would hear of most of the time. A lot of action scenes, just epicness about this show. This is one that I really loved that it aired on Toonami. Even though, and not to mention they were going to air the last two, sadly though, they had a few errors with the rights. But even though the last 2 episodes didn't air like they should have, they aired for the month of movies, and they got to finish the run of Hellsing Ultimate. Awesome show. Awesome indeed. Well, I hope you enjoyed my top 10 favorite shows and movies that aired on Toonami. But I would like to know, what was your top 10 favorite shows that aired on Toonami? It could be the original and it could be the new one. Leave a comment below. I would like to read them. Well, this is Arturelia Top Stuff, signing off.